Hello, Bl'Artagnan here with Crevasse Beta Part 5, the first of the 3 Lufania Plus level fights that we'll be doing in the Crevasse GL First exclusive anniversary event. Ugh, mouthful. We're bringing a team here of Vayne, Ash, and Pain. Before we get into it, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, leave a comment down below, ring that notification bell, and stay healthy, stay safe, and stay warm, because goodness gracious, it is cold where I am. Oof. I mean, today's the first day in quite a while it's even brushed above freezing. I don't think it actually made it. Anyway, with that topical, I just did use Kurasame too. So what do we got going on here? As you know from the Crevasse event, there's a bunch of different ways to get points. And the most efficient way, if you can pull it off, is to bring 3 teams, each of which feature the same 3 colors and weapon types on each team, to the 3 Lufania Plus fights. Or level 250 fights, if that's how you want to say it. As a Vayne aficionado, he makes a natural fit into the blue Greatsword category, along with Ash and Pain. X-Death also slots in there pretty well. I figured I'd use Pain just because, or not Pain, Ash. Pain's an auto use in this because she is, woo, so good. Ash I figured was probably better than X-Death for this just because, enchant? HP damage up? I don't know. In any case, we are fighting that their CPU. Just like the Shadow fight, with a slightly different orb, because you can also change the orb condition, and you should change the orb condition to maximize your points. In this case, we're using actually the same orb that the Vayne BT event used, the +4 on break. For obvious reasons. These guys don't warp turns, so I mean, come on. I gotta say, I've really enjoyed this event. I'll probably go into it in my other videos for the clears of this as well, so I won't spend too much time here just as I kind of play through this, but I really appreciate how I feel like this really tailored. This was good endgame content that tailored itself to basically any sort of endgame player. I keep saying endgame here because the one thing I will say about this event is it requires a broad roster. We're not gonna, say anything otherwise about that. Like, a player who just started the game like last week is probably not gonna have enough characters to fill out everything, and that is, it's a bummer for them, but also it's understandable. I mean, at the end of the day, endgame content for kind of for players who've been playing the game for a while is going to look different than content that a new player can clear, and that's just, well, I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Ooh, in hindsight, I should have used the Ash EX on that sea orb there, because we don't want that thing healing. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I've been feeling about this event. I think it's really quite good because if you're a min-max, or if you're a power gamer, or whatever you want to call it, a try-hard, whatever, you can kind of go for that high score, super achievement, perfect max points thing. And to do that, you need a fairly specific broad roster with, the right kind of slots in your weapons and colors and all that. And so, I mean, not everyone's going to have that, and that's okay, but at the same time, you don't lose anything for not having it. All you really lose is, some bragging rights, some internet points, because you don't get that perfect score, the 428 points, oh man. And if you don't get that, it's okay. You only need 300 to get all the rewards. It's totally cool. You could see how many points, go for your personal best. If it's not the maximum amount of points, see what your roster and your personal, your personal playstyle can get you. Nothing wrong with that. So, what do we got going on here? There's not much to say here in terms of gameplay. This is basically just Vayne being Vayne, pushing back. I'm mostly pushing back B because he does HP attacks, and because he's the one we actually want dead, so I should focus all of Vayne's single target damage on that guy, of course. But we also are trying to minimize the number of turns C gets. In this case, by minimize, I mean give them 0. Just because we don't want that healing, and this fight's always been interesting for me because the big problem is you don't want B taking too many turns, because that's the one with the orb, that's the big one. You don't want him taking too many turns, that's the one with the orb, the scary HP attack. But the other 2 orbs buff it a lot, or debuff you, and give it speed so it can take a lot of turns. You don't want that. The healing, the HP regen, all that jazz, so. Anyway, if you want to hear more opinions about this particular fight, you can watch all of the Shadow Raid Shadow Raid Legends. Shadow Raid? Jesus. Sorry, getting distracted. The fights aren't that mechanically taxing. Getting back to talking about the event. Not that mechanically taxing. I actually have heard more people having getting tripped up by the regular Lufania than the Lufania Plus fights, because those fights have some more in-depth mechanics than I think these do. all of the fights in this entire event are fairly no-turnable, which is pretty good. You could just delay the bosses into oblivion, and that's fine. And I think that's a good thing overall, because given the way this... I think people needed an opportunity to learn this event and to understand how it plays out, what its mechanics are, how to plan the teams and stuff, and if each fight was like a horrible, miserable slog to get through, and like with, you know, imagine like a Divine Shiva level challenge here, learning the way the event plays out, along with having to manage the mechanics, and it would have been a little bit too much. It would have not been fun to deal with for most players. And so, I'm pretty cool with how things shook out here, you know? Oh yeah, funny thing, I forgot to bring Kai's Call. I just straight up did, and so during the course of that burst phase, you might have noticed some brave attacks along the way. It's a little bit scuffed, I guess, but we still are going to make it happen. God bless Green Vein. I'm really quite happy with this investment overall. I mean... This is what I think this is the 21st Lufania Plus fight I've brought him to. I've been keeping track because I guess I'm one of those tryhard nerds I referenced earlier. Jesus. Well, that's one guy down. But anywho, I do really appreciate the kind of create your own adventure that this mode has. I'll talk about it more in the other videos, I'm sure. I'm going to be posting one for each of the 3 Luf Plus runs I did. I figured going back and doing the easier fights probably isn't going to be that informative for folks, but if you really want to see how I cleared those other fights, let me know. I can have to whip something up for you. It isn't that engaging, though. Anywho, yeah, that sums it up. Like this event, I like the create your own adventure style of it, the fact that you can get all the rewards without having to like make the Lufania Plus fights super restrictive. You can have those vanilla, no challenge at all, just change the orb in order to use all 5 of the, you know, the orb conditions, and that'll basically net you 200 points between the Lufania Pluses and the Lufanias. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next video, which I'll be posting very shortly. I guess, like I said, stay warm. Adios.